Devastating psychological injuries rarely happen in dark alleys or among strangers. They incubate in environments of absolute, unquestioned safety. Our homes, our beds, our oldest friendships. Consider the trust required to share your life with someone. A best friend who has known you since second grade. A partner who seems protective. A spouse who has maintained 5 years of sobriety while building a family. You trust these people with your physical safety and your deepest vulnerabilities. Then, that reality splinters. It happens at 4 a.m. to the sensation of covers being peeled back by a best friend's boyfriend holding a flashlight, or when a search of a family home reveals heroin needles hidden by a pregnant wife. Sometimes the fracture is violently sudden. A lifelong friend suffers a psychotic break and murders her own sibling. A husband of over a decade silently picks up a crockpot of boiling water and pours it directly over his wife's chest. In an instant, the victim's foundational worldview, the internal map of who is safe and how to read human behavior, is wiped clean. The world they knew is replaced by a landscape where the closest person in their life is also the most dangerous. Eventually, the immediate threat is neutralized. Sirens fade, the police take their statements, the perpetrator is placed in a squad car or a psychiatric hold, and the house goes quiet. This is when the adrenaline begins to drain away. Without that chemical armor, the survivor is left standing in the literal wreckage of the life they occupied just hours prior. The realization sets in that the event wasn't the end of the ordeal. The nightmare has mutated from a state of raw physical survival into a marathon of complex logistics. And here is the brutal irony of relational trauma. The person the victim would instinctively turn to for comfort is the one who caused the devastation. The primary support system is gone, replaced by a massive void right when the pressure increases. This marks the beginning of logistical survival. Victims are pulled from their wrecked personal lives and thrust into the cold, clinical world of police precincts, courtrooms, and social services. The immediate demands are staggering. Survivors must secure restraining orders, coordinate with burn units, and change locks before a perpetrator makes bail. They become involuntary project managers for their own trauma, filing for emergency custody, initiating divorce, and coordinating with child welfare. Navigating this maze requires massive cognitive bandwidth. To get paperwork filed and court dates scheduled, the victim must actively suppress their own shock. There is no room for a panic attack when a judge needs a clear statement. Society forces survivors to decode complex legal and medical bureaucracies at the precise moment their cognitive and emotional capacities are most severely impaired. To endure this, the human brain creates a split reality. The survivor must simultaneously maintain two entirely different existences. Outwardly, the situation demands stoicism. A 23-year-old daughter disassociates from her own fear so she can remain strong for her minor brothers after their mother is hospitalized. Inwardly, the collapse is total. A husband can spend the morning calmly consulting a family law attorney to protect his daughter from his relapsed wife, only to retreat to his car and sob for an entire hour. Every hour spent holding it together for lawyers and social workers is an hour that extreme grief and betrayal go unprocessed. The emotional weight is shoved aside, locked away to allow for immediate survival. This forced separation keeps the survivor functioning when they are at their most vulnerable. Yet the price of this stoicism is an ever-growing inventory of grief that logic alone cannot resolve. Fast forward months or even years. The legal dust settles, the divorces are finalized, the perpetrator is gone. People on the outside often expect this to be the finish line. There is a persistent societal expectation that once the threat is removed, the victim is fixed. However, the long-term reality is far more taxing. The person who existed before the event has been replaced by a survivor living in a state of chronic hypervigilance, where every new interaction is filtered through a history of betrayal. Survival becomes a marathon of vigilance. It is the daily exhaustion of scanning a room for exits, vetting every kind word for a hidden motive, and waiting for the next flashlight to cut through the dark. Outsiders often recognize this shift in what therapists call the 1,000-yard stare, a hollowness that seeps into the way survivors speak and write. As the victims themselves often put it, they are simply no longer the person they were before the trust was broken. Surviving deep relational trauma is not an attempt to revert to the person who relied on an illusion of safety. That person is gone. Instead, the process is about building a completely new foundation in the aftermath. It is an acceptance of a reality where scars are permanent, the innocence is gone, but forward momentum is possible.